Hey everyone, this is day one of Build Your Six-Figure Mentoring Business. So thank you for those of you who signed up. And if you're just seeing the video now, then welcome. I work with a lot of creatives, so a lot of photographers, wedding planners, designers, people who came from creative industries just like I did, and I help them to create mentoring businesses. So whether that's you kind of stepping into the role of a leader, a speaker, giving workshops, taking your offline workshops and putting them online, starting to work one-on-one as a mentor, coach, or consultant, I don't care what you want to call it, but basically mentoring people who are coming up in the industry. You've probably been in business for 10 years or so. A lot of my clients are very highly experienced. So at least being in business for, say, 5 to 10 years and running a very successful creative business, and then now wanting to step into this role of being a leader or mentor. Hi, Tanya, I can see you. So do give me a few hearts and things like that, just so I can see that you can all hear me and that it's all good. Facebook Live, it always takes a little bit of time to let people know that you're actually live, and then people start rolling on. So today is day one of Build Your Six-Figure Mentoring Business. And I'm going to go into how you can make that happen. But I've basically come up with the 8 C's. You would have got that in the email. Today we're going to cover confidence and we're going to cover communication. So 2 of the 8 C's that go into creating a 6-figure mentoring business. Now, what exactly... Hi, Tanya. Oh, good. Happy to be here. So what does it mean to have a 6-figure mentoring business? Basically, 6 figures is $100,000 a year, and the aim of that is making around I think it's $8,300 a month. That's kind of the aim. If you haven't started it yet, you can aim to start with $2,500 a month up to $5,000 a month, and then build it up from there. And there's a few ways that you can get to that. So one of them is doing one-on-one mentoring, which I recommend when you're first starting out to focus on getting one-on-one clients first, because before you start to create group programs and things like that, and I'll be telling you about a new way to work with me at the end of this training series, but I've concentrated over the past 2 years on just focusing on my one-on-one clients, because that way I'm able to know what it's like to work with them, what people struggle with, and then I've seen a pattern emerge with everybody that I work with, and so now it's like I can break it down into steps that people need to take, because it's basically the same steps for everyone. So with the work that you do, what you'll find is that you can start to create processes and steps, and then turn that into some sort of a group workshop or a group program which you do online. So only when you've really worked with people one-on-one first can you then start to see a pattern. Now, I know with the photography industry and wedding industry, a lot of people do workshops. So I used to attend a lot of in-person workshops, and I really loved those people who chose to mentor me back in the day. I'm so thankful that they stepped up and that they were prepared to teach me what they know. So it's really nice to have the roles reversed now, where I can take everything that I've learned from, running a photography business for 10 years, running a social media marketing agency for 2.5 years and having 2 full-time staff there, and now running my coaching business. It's just so nice to be able to serve people. Hi, Leanne. Welcome. So being able to serve and help people, and that's what you really need to focus on. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about today is confidence. And I'm going to talk about 2 things that can affect your confidence. One of them is the fear that can come up, which is false evidence appearing real. And then the second one is real things like the knowledge gap. So you may have a lack of confidence because you don't know about, say, certain marketing things, or there could be a knowledge gap on, like, say, tech-wise and things like that. And in that case, it is actually real because you don't know what to do. So you actually need to upskill in that area. So there's these two places. So let me know if you can kind of relate to that, where your confidence may feel like it slips because of false evidence appearing real, which is actually to do with mindset. It's to do with imposter syndrome. So this is like a real thing that people can feel, where even though they are qualified, like my clients are all overqualified. They've got years of experience. They've got probably, more than one qualification. But imposter syndrome can come in because now they're starting to think, well, who am I to do this? Who am I to step up? There's so many other people doing this, so why would they listen to me, kind of thing. So just put a 1 in the comments if you've ever had those thoughts come up, or maybe that little inner critic voice that is kind of being negative and, saying that, basically, who are you to step up? Why would people buy from you? Because there's so many other people doing it. So to bust this, I'm going to give you a couple of stats just to let you know that if you do want to start teaching and, working with people online and you are an expert, the online learning space, so call it, like online workshops or teaching space, etc. So Tanya says 1 definitely happened and still happens to me. So yeah, just put a 1 in the comments if you can relate to this, and you can do it in the replay as well. That's absolutely fine if you're watching the replay or live. So it's always nice to have you guys here live and interacting, and I'll also be doing a Q&A at the end. So just keep your questions there for me at the end. So first of all, in 2016, the e-learning space, so whether that be, online courses, group programs, etc., was $107 billion business. So $1 billion industry, per year worldwide, $107 billion. It's growing at such a rapid rate. I was just doing some research online, and by 2025, it's going to be a $325 billion industry. So right now, it's around the $107 billion that was in 2016, and this is going to keep growing until it gets to, they reckon in 2025, it's going to reach $325 billion. So people are wanting to learn online. It's just the way that things are going. So if you've been doing in-person workshops, this could be a really good opportunity to take that workshop and move it into an online space so that you can teach it online and you can actually reach more people. And again, the coaching industry, so coaching, consulting, mentoring, etc., in the US, it's the second largest industry after tech. So these are not industries, so both of these kind of places are actually growing a lot. People want to learn. I know that as a photographer, as a retoucher back in the day, I used to learn from people. I found mentors. So as a photographer, I found mentors. And, the social media space, I've taken so many courses. I love to keep learning. So if you like to do that, think about who you could be helping and how you could be serving them. So when you get any of these like mindset things that come up, things that are stopping you, things that are making you feel like a lack of confidence around this kind of area of you stepping into this role of mentor, just know that this is a huge industry that's growing, and you do need to stand out in a way. So the way that you're going to do that, and we'll talk about that in this series, is through your messaging and through your story and through your experience, your specific knowledge. And the other thing to keep in mind is that some people, they don't relate. You may see big names out there, but some people will love or hate them. They don't always relate to everybody, and we all resonate with different people, and we also learn in different styles. So we need to hear information more than once sometimes for it to sink in, or maybe we weren't ready yet for certain information and we didn't go and implement it. So you need to learn it and apply it in a different way. So just think about that, like how can you be unique, what's different about you, and just really concentrate on working on that and being able to share your story in a unique way, so that, and your message and your vibe, it's like that's what people choose a mentor, choose somebody that they're going to take their course, etc. It's how you teach, it's what's unique about you. So I'm just going to take a sip of water. It's really warm here in South Africa now. Here it's going to rain a lot. It's going to be windy later. Sorry, not rain. I think we're getting a cold front coming up from Cape Town. Okay, so we've kind of covered that mindset side of it. I recommend, there's 2 books that I would recommend. The first is Playing Big by Tara Moore. So she's done a lot of work around the inner critic. So this is where, you know, that kind of voice is stopping you from going forward because, you know, it's telling you like everybody, you know, there's too many people doing this, or why would anyone buy from you, etc. Like things that are, it's stopping you from moving forward. I'd recommend Playing Big by Tara Moore. And then the second book that I'd recommend, which I'm actually currently listening to on my Audible, is The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. So her whole thing is basically snapping yourself out of worrying and kind of all the excuses that you're making for, say, not getting on with it, like procrastination, anxiety, etc. And everything comes down to counting backwards. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then launching yourself into whatever action that you need to take. So whether that be you know, writing to your list, or getting on Facebook Live for the first time, or getting that damn sales page written out, or you know, creating your first mentoring package. So whatever it is that you need to do that you're procrastinating, and you start going into worry, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that kind of triggers your mind. There's scientific research. You can go and listen to her book, but it's a really interesting concept. She used it to get herself out of depression and anxiety and out of a really bad space in terms of where she was with her money, etc. And she's now one of the world's highest paid speakers, and she has a multiple 7-figure business. So I would recommend definitely reading that if you're finding that your mindset is holding you back. So many times it's this confidence piece, it's this mindset piece, and it takes courage because you're going to have to get uncomfortable. You're going to have to do things differently. So it's one thing to say, have been promoting your photography, for example. So say you're a creative, like a lot of, like me and my clients, you know, we got quite used to promoting our work. So our photography work, or your video, or your design work, or whatever it may be, or your events. So you get comfortable with that. And that's one area of like getting comfortable with showing the world what you do, telling them what you do, and visually representing that. And then, as you've probably heard, personal branding comes into play, and that is really, really important now because that's what separates you from everybody else. Now, in your photography business or creative business, the personal branding thing is really important, but when you start to step into the role of a mentor, or you want people to book you as a speaker, or you're going to be an author and this kind of thing, now this goes to a whole nother level. So you're going to have to start pushing yourself out of your comfort zone because you're going to need to step up and speak in front of a crowd, or go on Facebook Live and do videos live, or create videos for, you know, your work, your online course, for example. So you're going to have to step up in a whole new way. So this is like a different level of sharing personally, sharing the ups and downs of businesses, because, you know, the truth is that business is not this like amazing, you know, line that just goes up and up and up. There's ups and downs. There's ups, you know, you'll get high income months and then lower income months. So it's a bit of a roller coaster. And if somebody's coming to you for business advice, especially to build their creative business, they want the truth. You know, you can't hide the truth. And the way that you connect with people, the way that people are going to want to work with you, is by sharing the ups and downs and the before and after stories. So you're going to have to get vulnerable in a new way. But I'm not talking about airing your dirty laundry. I'm just talking about sharing stories that help people to connect with you, because they may be in that place now and they need to get to, you know, kind of a few steps ahead of where they are. So that's something else to think about, is that you are always a good few steps ahead of certain people. You know, there's going to be people ahead of you. There always will be. And you can get to learn from them. But just remember that you are, you know, a good few years ahead of those people who are starting out, and they do need your help. So keep that in mind when you have any of the negative mindsets issues coming in. Okay, so if this is helpful, please put a, oh, hi, Sandy. So Sandy is one of my coaching clients from this year. So Sandy says, so true that sharing a bit of vulnerability can work. Yeah, and the reason it does is because people relate to stories. They relate to real stories, and it's a skill that you need to develop and you need to get used to sharing these stories online, whether it's, a video that you share in your group, or it could be a longer form Instagram post, or you could share from the heart and share a story to your email list as well. So it's not just about like bombarding people with what you have for sale. It's, people want to get to know you, especially if they're going to be a mentoring client for the next 3 or 6 months. They're really going to want to get to know you. Hi, Shan. So get comfortable with sharing more stories and being a bit more vulnerable, and that's going to be something that's pushing you out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. Like I said, it's different than sharing your photography work, for example, because you can still kind of hide behind it a little bit. So I know that photographers and creatives and that everybody was coming out a little bit more with personal brands, but when you start to step into this mentor role, it's got to be taken to a whole nother level, and you're going to be required to, hi Shan, to get on video, to teach. Like if you want to be booked as a speaker, what's the best way of people getting to know how you teach? And that would be, say, doing Facebook Lives, or going and, speaking at local events and things like that. And that may be really, really scary. And if it is, then I think it's all in the mind, and it's about taking action too, because once you take the action, it doesn't become as scary anymore. Like when you first go on live streaming, it's really scary and you're probably not going to be very good at it. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. Okay, so Sandy says, I think it allows people to believe they can get to where you are, and that we are all human. We've all had and continue to have hurdles to jump. Yes, and no matter where you are in your business, there's always like a next level to get to. I think all of us here are, we're people who want to make more of our lives. We're constantly, striving for more and taking action and making bigger goals. So, you never really get to a place, because once you get there, you change the goalposts and you make new goals. And that's perfectly fine too. So, okay, so the second piece, so we've covered the mindset piece and where, false evidence appearing real with imposter syndrome, the inner critic, and I've recommended 2 books for that. That's Playing Big by Tara Moore and The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. And then the other thing is just taking action despite the fear. So get used to getting uncomfortable and do the things that you need to do. No one can do it for you. So even if you worked with a coach, like my clients will work with me privately, and I have a group program. So I have a group program coming up. So it doesn't matter whether you're working with someone privately or in a group program. You've got to take the action. Nobody can take that action for you. So Tanya says, I choked up the first time I tried going live, which was right here in your group. Oh, Tanya, I'm so glad that you could go live in my group, and that was the first time, and that's been a catalyst for you, because I know you have your own community and your own group now, and that you go live, and you did that big tele summit where you interviewed like really top people. That was amazing. So it's like that first time you do it, it's going to be scary. Hi, DigiBiz. and then the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Okay, so you've got to take that action and move yourself through the fear. I really believe that that's the best way to start doing these things. No sound. Everyone else can hear me, so I think it's all good. Maybe try plug in your headphones. Everyone else can hear me fine. So, okay, so we've covered the whole mindset thing, the imposter syndrome, the inner critic, and I've given you a few tools for that. And the second part is that you may be feeling anxiety and lack in confidence over things that are actually real issues. So there may be tech stuff that's causing you anxiety and not allowing you to move forward with, launching some sort of online workshop or group program, or it could be your one-on-one coaching. And there may be like a skill gap. So you're going to have to upskill, because if you want to move to this online world, there are so many moving pieces that it takes. There's going to be a certain level of having to learn these things, or being able to take on, say, a virtual assistant or a web developer or somebody who can help you. For instance, I've just had this beautiful membership site created, but I didn't do that by myself. I had my web developer help me with it, even though I'm actually really techie. And a lot of my coaching clients, they work with me because I can help with mindset and strategy, but I actually have the tech stuff as well. So I do all my own Facebook ads. I design websites. I have my developer help me, and then I'm able to build some of the other pages once the template's there. So a lot of people come to me because I've got the tech knowledge and the mindset, strategy, accountability side of being a business coach. But even for me, I don't always expect myself to do everything. So I'll bring on experts to help me on a project basis when I need that. So when I have a knowledge gap, it's either, okay, I have to spend the time learning how to do this tech stuff, and some of it might be necessary. Like you might want to learn how to use your CRM or your, being able to send emails and things like that, because you don't want to have to pay someone every time you get an inspiration for a newsletter. So there may be certain things that you do want to learn, but then it's also about looking at, okay, what can you start to outsource, and where could you be spending your time best? And that's usually in content creation. So you should be the one creating your videos, writing, doing your copywriting. It's much harder to outsource that, because then you tend to lose your voice. And then get help with someone who you can say, right, here we go, this is what needs to go in the newsletter, for example. So know that confidence, it's that whole mindset piece, but then the other part of it might be that, well, you're not feeling confident because you actually don't know what to do, because you don't know what systems and structures to have in place for a business that, if you want to do marketing online and you want to work with clients online, there are certain things that need to be created, like a sales page, or automating. Maybe you create like an online course and you want people to be able to buy and pay and sign up and get a password and have it all automated so that you're hands off of that process. That kind of thing. There may be a technical knowledge gap there, and you're going to need to fill that gap, and then you'll get the confidence once you learn how to use it and once you've implemented it in your business. So just know the difference. Like, ask yourself, is this a mindset thing, or do I really not know what's going on here? Like, am I feeling anxiety about this because I don't know what to do? I don't know what systems to use, having tech issues, etc. And that's where you need to get help with that, or learn that, or upskill. So figure out where those gaps are in your business and see how you can fill that, whether you need to learn the skill or bring in somebody on a project basis or have a VA and something like that to help you out. Okay, so yeah, isn't that funny that I was talking about tech issues and confidence and tech issues, and then my Facebook Live cut out? So I have finished talking about part 1, which is around confidence, and this is part of my free training series called Build Your Six-Figure Mentoring Business. So I'm going to go on to the second C out of the 8 C's that I'm going to be talking about this week, and the second one is communication. So the first one is confidence, the second one is communication. So I've put communication before social media, marketing, and branding, because communication is really, it's like the bedrock of everything. So it's to do with your message and your story and how you share that with the world. So before you create, a personal brand and you have the supporting graphic elements or images or videos and things like that, the first key work that you need to do is thinking about what your core message is, what you believe in, because that's what people are going to be drawn to you. They'll be drawn to work with you because of what you believe in, what your values are, how you live your life, and how you run your business. So I want you to think about in terms of your brand, in terms of your personal brand, which is basically who you are. You know, you can't flip a switch and be a different person in your life and in your brand. So that's why when you build a business, you know, it's a personal development journey as well. So you've constantly got to be working on yourself in order to have a really successful business. And this doesn't matter what business you're running, but when you start to step up and be a leader and a mentor, it's even more important to look at these personal development pieces and see, you know, how are you acting online? What are you posting? And if you are feeling called to sort of get kind of negative and ranty and that kind of thing, maybe it's time to look at why that is, like where is that coming from? So looking at that personal development piece and then looking at how you communicate, because people are going to be looking to you to be a leader, to be positive, to you know, get them out of a place where they are in their business to where they want to be. And in order to do that, you need to step up a level yourself. You know, you're already probably a few levels kind of higher because you've had success in your creative business already, but now it's time to kind of take things up a notch and to step into this leader role. Then you're gonna just know that you're gonna need to do some more personal development work on yourself, and whether this is you know, through reading, through looking at the way that you are acting, etc. Just know that it's a journey, and it's a good one. You know, it's an interesting journey. There's lots of boundaries that need to be put in place, especially when you're working one-on-one with clients or even with groups and dealing with people in general. So it's really being assertive. It's about not being a people pleaser. It's about having clear boundaries in place and contracts in place and being a real professional business owner when it comes to not just your creative business, but now this business of you know, coaching or online courses and things like that. You really have to have the legal stuff in place, the contracts in place, and be able to stand firm in those boundaries that you set in place. So that's the personal development piece, but it's also a positive thing. It's not only, you know, dealing with kind of negative emotions and things that come up. It's also about, you know, helping and serving people. So just keep that in mind too. So your communication is really, what is your core message? So you need to think about what your core origin story is. So your core before and after story, like where you were and where you are now. And remember that people need to hear your story over and over and over again. So a lot of you will know that I had a photography business for 10 years in the UK. We then moved to the Turks and Caicos Islands and joined a studio there. And then I found out that I was pregnant and I had my little daughter there, and I was being asked to go back to work full time, which is fair enough on the studio owner, etc. But the truth is I didn't want to go back full time. But when I looked at how much money I was making and how much money I was paying our nanny at the time, the nanny was making $10 an hour. I was making $20 an hour, but I was paying her half an hour before I went to work and half an hour when I got home, which means she was making more money than me. And I was kind of feeling like I was missing out on spending time with my, 6-month-old at the time. And I knew things had to change. So I went from having my own business in the UK for 8 years and then going to have a full-time job. And when I had my daughter, I knew things had to change. We also had a few family losses, and I made a really difficult decision to leave there and move back to South Africa and start my social media business. And that is obviously part of my story. If you've known me for a while, you would have probably heard that. And I want you to think about what's a powerful story that you could share with your audience so that they can really relate to you and that this can be part of your message. So that is my kind of origin story of my business, where it is now. To add to that, it has even evolved and changed a bit more, where I've now completely moved from doing done-for-you services to only doing the business coaching and consulting work. So this has helped me to get more free time, not have to manage staff and things like that, not have to manage so many, clients with the done-for-you services, and really focus in and hone in on having high-end mentoring clients. So that's how my story has even evolved this year. So think about what stories you can tell, personal stories with detail that you can share with your audience. That's going to help them to go, oh, okay, I see where you've gone from, where you are now, and that you could be the right person to help me to get where I want to be. Okay, so think about that. So what do you stand for? What are your values? So what's your main brand stand? Like, what do you stand for? For me, it's having my afternoons off with my little girl. It's not having to work weekends anymore. It's having income coming all year round so that it's not seasonal. Like the wedding industry is extremely seasonal, especially in the UK. We used to be busy over summer and then like dead in winter. So for me, it's like having that consistent income. It's having more freedom, being able to work for myself again. That's one of my core values, is just having the freedom, being able to take holiday. When we lived in Turks and Caicos, it was based off of the US model where you only get 10 days leave per year. Now, coming from the UK where you got 25 days leave a year, that's quite a big shock, especially after having, being a freelance retoucher, having my own business, and then going to work for somebody again. It is restrictive because, you have to ask for when you want to go on holiday. You can't, come and go as you please. And especially as a mom and having a young child who's under 5 years old, I like to have that freedom to be able to pick her up from school or take her to art class, etc. And it's about creating more and more time freedom and being able to afford to outsource the things that I don't want to do in my business. This is a big part of like my message and, why I do what I do. So think about, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? I help other women to do this as well in their businesses. And I want to have, that's what I desire. I want to have that freedom, and I want to, actually see my little girl grow up. I don't want to work 9 hours a day, be commuting like I used to do in London, or working every weekend like I used to do as a wedding photographer. So those are parts of my big why, my big core message. Hi, Shan. Hopefully this one doesn't cut out. The last Facebook Live cut out, so sorry about that. But you can catch, part 1, and then this is part 2. So they're actually 2 different topics. I'm now talking about communication. So in the communication, I want you to dig deep, and I want you to think about what your core values are, what your message is, what your origin story is in your business, and how you can start to share that more and more, whether it's on video or in long form posts or in the form of a blog post or a newsletter or Instagram. And remember that people need to hear your story more than once for it to actually sink in. And as you get more like new followers, you'll notice that people that have a personal brand, you'll see them telling the same story over and over, and that's because people need to hear things a few times for it to sink in. But then also the fact that you're getting new followers, new people into your community, they may not know your story, so it's important to reiterate that story. So communication then, so that's kind of the deeper core, kind of the values, what you believe in, why you do what you do. And then the second part is like looking at, okay, how can we get that communication out to the world? And this is going to be through your images, through your copy that supports the images, or the images support the copy. The copy is actually the core of everything. The story and the copy is the core of everything, and then the images support the copy. So that's where you can start to create, your personal branding shoot, videos, lives, etc., to support that, the core values and what you stand for as a personal brand. And those are the kind of ways to communicate. And remember, one key thing is that you have to produce yourself. So stop waiting for someone else to do it for you, or someone else to come along and say, here we go, you've made it, you're going to be, this leader, mentor. It doesn't work like that. You've got to produce yourself. You've got to get out there, get onto video, tell your story, start to share more. And just that consistency, which is one of the C's that we're going to talk about in this live series, that consistency over time is what's going to bring the clients to you. And also being able to share that story and create a beautiful personal brand will be able to sell for you. I recently booked a really lovely client who's based in Costa Rica. She's a private coaching client of mine, and she read my story. She resonated with my website, my branding, my story, etc. And she booked me even though she didn't know me before. So know that when you create that, when you work on that story and you have the right copy and you have the right branding, it can sell for you. It doesn't mean that you get to put up a website and then forget about it and walk away and all these clients are going to come rushing to you. It doesn't mean that, because the branding and the website isn't selling, but it certainly helps, I can tell you that. So if you want to sign up for more of these free trainings, I've put an opt-in above this video here, so you can just opt in and then I'll send you a message when I'm going live. If you have any questions for me, please pop them down below and I will answer them for you. I'll come back after the fact, or if Shan, if you have any questions for me, please post them here below and I'll come back and answer them as well. So if you sign up to get the rest of these trainings, I'll send you the replay links as well as when I'm going to be going live next. And I'll also send you some details about new ways to work with me. So this year I've really concentrated on my high-end one-on-one coaching for the past 2 years actually. And I've never released a group program before, and I wanted to do it in a really professional, high-end way. I did do a group program last year, which was, just audio recordings and, me teaching, which is absolutely fine. But I wanted to really take this up to the next level, and I did a couple of sneak peeks around social media. We've created beautiful video modules, worksheets. So I'm going to take you through everything that I take my private coaching clients through. And if you work with me as a private client, you will also get access to this. So I've broken it up into modules so that it's like easy to create your personal brand, create your signature package, and then learn how to market and reach people with the right systems and structures, including things like Facebook ads. It's the way that I can live here in South Africa, but actually work with people all over the world, like in Costa Rica, the US, and Europe and the UK as well. So I'm going to share with you all of that. But I'll tell you more about that, and don't forget to sign up for this free training series. So I'm going to give you as much value and knowledge as I can over the next few days here. And if you have any questions, just PM me or pop them in the comments below and I'll come and answer them for you. Okay, have a wonderful week, guys. Bye.